and now you're doing that. Let me first talk about this. Pete Carroll was in USC, and I'm a USC guy, right? And
Yes,
I know
sir.
the culture of USC. But I will say this. Pete is very pro player. I mean, a lot of energy. I mean, he's like a 66-year-old guy going on 40.
Yeah.
Are there times, because I kind of feel it now, Cliff, that when the coach is rah-rah, sometimes players are like, I've heard that song and dance for like 6 years. It does feel like all the stuff that was just so joyful, there's a little turn now in Seattle. Is it fair to me to say sometimes players are tuning out Pete now?
I would say so, a little bit. Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I never listened to Coach Carroll. I never needed him to kind of motivate me on game day or for practice. I understood it was a job. I understood what I needed to do. So I never really paid attention personally. Now, for other guys, I could see how, the message could get crossed a little bit, especially after like the Super Bowl run when guys started kind of questioning what our foundation was after that play.
It's very interesting. This is fascinating to me. So New England, Malcolm Butler gets benched, and Brady has never been the same. You guys lose the Super Bowl. Marshawn Lynch was unstoppable, and you throw the ball, and it's never felt the same in Seattle. And everybody denies it, Cliff. Oh, it's no big deal. I'm sorry, Cliff. It feels like that Malcolm Butler play changed the temperature in the room.
I would say so. When we were going through it, I didn't think so. I genuinely thought, hey, we're going to bounce back. But now that I look back at it, I think it kind of affected some of the guys. Again, our foundation at the time was to play great defense and run the ball. Run the mess out of the ball, play great defense.
That was your brand.
That was who we were. And then when we switched it up in one of the biggest games of the season, biggest games of our careers, guys took offense to that. And I think guys started doubting essentially what the model, what the foundation was.
When you look at Seattle, it's funny. I generally don't talk politics. I believe that people listen to my show to hear my sports opinions. A lot of sports radio people, they want to do politics. It's their business. This is just my show.
For sure.
I think people believe now, social media tells everybody, talk politics, it's great. I believe politics are hard. I think they're hard at the dinner table. I think they're hard at church.
Anybody, yeah.
Seattle kind of got a little political. Well, then all of a sudden I watch what happened in the offseason. Seattle just gave Michael Bennett away. Michael Bennett's a hell of a football player.
Great player.
I mean, there aren't many guys in the league that are that disruptive. He's a pretty political guy.
Yeah.
Is Seattle admitting with this, Cliff, it got a little loose?
I think they're thinking about that for sure. I mean, we were such a vocal team. We were allowed to say what we wanted, and I think that's what made us good too, is allowing guys to be themselves and not necessarily being a militant type of team.
Yeah.
But I think with all the stuff going on with the NFL and how they're trying to brand themselves and different things like that, I think they're considering some of the vocal guys, and they're kind of straying.
Unless you're a great player.
Yeah, you have to be a great player in order for you to even be vocal, honestly, because you got to understand your job is on the line every time you speak on something, because these people don't necessarily want you talking about this stuff.
By the way, it's not the NBA or baseball where you get a 10-year deal.
No,
the bottom
and it's
line,
not guaranteed.
I mean, the Patriots could cut Brady today. They'd owe him a lot of money. They'd have dead money. But I do feel like there's this theory now. Everybody's saying politics are easy. You should talk politics. And I'm like, all I know is when I got into this business, people said, don't talk religion, don't talk politics. It's too offensive.
Yeah.
And I felt like Seattle got somewhat political. Okay, so Tom Brady. Oh, I want to do one more Seattle question on this. Right. So ESPN came out with a huge article, and it was just banging on Russell Wilson. And I was like, whoa, time out. Now, I know Russell is a little square. Russell's one of my favorite players ever. And he may be not the coolest guy in the room.
He goes by the book.
He goes by the book.
Yeah.
He's a corporate guy.
Yeah.
He's going to side with the ownership. Can you be totally honest, Cliff? Does that turn off Seahawk players? Some
players for sure. I think some guys have issues, especially when you're in a room like our locker room. I think some guys had issues from the standpoint of him not sometimes getting treated the same as everybody else. But in our reality, no quarterback in the NFL gets treated like the other 52 guys. That's just what it is. They touch the ball every play. They run the team. Everything falls on them. So they're never going to get treated the same. So I think guys had an issue with that more so than being square or whatever you want to call it.
But what you're acknowledging, though, the article, because my concern was, listen, man, you don't see that article You don't see that article on Drew Brees. You don't see that article on Peyton Manning. That article doesn't get out that there was a little bit of animosity in times at that locker room.
Yeah. I mean, but this goes on in anybody's locker room.
You think so?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, it's 53 guys, alpha males. Nobody's ever going to get along 100% of the time. Now, most of the times, everybody's getting along with the quarterback because he's the face. A lot of times, guys feel like they relate the message back to management and different things like that. Most times, you don't have those issues. But again, in our locker room with guys being so freely to speak, and
then Russell wasn't that way.
And Russell doesn't really.
He's
speak
very
much.
corporate.
I wouldn't say he's corporate, but he keeps to himself. He's not the guy that's gonna necessarily get in front of the team and have, he's always saying the right things. He's always gonna play everything by the book. But I wouldn't say he's corporate because if you get him one-on-one, you have great conversations with him.
All right. So Tom Brady's missing OTAs.
Don't put too much into that.
Let's talk about that. You didn't bother you?
No. Okay, I played the last 5 years. I've been to maybe 3 OTA practices, and I like to think I play at somewhat of a high level.
You were a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. So I don't put too much into OTAs. I mean, with quarterbacks, timing and all those different things might play a little factor. But he's Tom Brady. He can fly all those guys to Hawaii this summer and train with those guys for a month and a half straight, and everything would be clean. So I wouldn't put too much into that. I
want to talk about Brett Favre's story came out. Peter King's a football writer, wrote a story on Brett Favre. Brett Favre said 3 different times, I was basically in rehab during the season. I was in a pain pill buzz.
Yep.
And listen, I'm not expecting you guys to all be vegan and don't drink. But be honest with me.
Yeah.
Pro athletes are rock stars. And sometimes rock stars go on stage with a hangover and they perform. Now, long term, it's going to erode your career.
Yeah.
But be honest with me. In this world you live in, it is young men, and the women want them, and they're invited to every party.
They got a little bit of money.
They got a little bit of money. They got a lot of lettuce. Be honest, Cliff. When you hear a story about Brett Favre, does it shock you that he was in a pain pill buzz? This is a violent sport. Guys get hurt.
Especially in those days, no. I'm not surprised at all. Back in those days, they passed out pain pills like it was candy. And even my first couple years in the league, it was somewhat like that. But it's changed so much.
You've been in the league 10 years.
Yes, sir.
So your first year in the league, you get a pain pill anytime you want it.
For sure. Yeah, you can get a pain pill. They used to give guys the little shots before games. I think it's Toradol shots or whatever. They used to give guys those shots. Now it's regulated. It's extremely hard to get pain pills. It's extremely hard to get those shots. You have to be – there's a protocol to go through to get some of this stuff. So I'm not shocked to hear Brett talking about, he used to have to go through those things because I've heard other guys speak on this. But as of right now, it's a lot harder.
By the way, guys are retiring more early. Is some of it you guys make more money now, or is some of it I can't mask my injuries anymore? It's harder to play this game.
It's a little bit of both, I think. It's hard to play the game, depending on what team you're on. Losing is not fun. That weighs on you a lot. It can make life real stressful when you're losing as much as you are, like a Calvin Johnson or something like that. But also, I think the pain management is a little different now, and guys understanding what this game is doing to you as well. I think guys are a lot smarter. Guys are waking up to understanding, hey, these concussions are real. Hey, these injuries, your knees, and all these different things. Get your money and get out.
And finally, Cliff Averill, Seahawk, Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, 3rd rounder out of Purdue. That's why you're smart. They have a great engineering school there.
Yes, they do. My wife is actually an industrial engineer, so she's the winner out of the group.
Okay, there you go. Now, by the way, it's cold as hell out there. West Lafayette.
Oh, my gosh. It's ridiculous.
It is brutal.
The guy from Jacksonville going to West Lafayette, that was culture shock.
Oh, you were a Jacksonville kid?
I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
What was that recruiting trip like? They bring you in June?
Yeah, I mean, it was rough. Trust me, it was a culture shock.
Well, congratulations. Good luck on the radio stuff.
Thank you.
That's good for you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Your wife is a what engineer?
An industrial engineer.
And working in like Boeing or something up there?
She used to. She retired once I got like my second deal.
But she was up in like aviation and that.
She was working for Ford actually. The corporate ladder. I don't know.
You used to be a Lion.
Yeah, when we were Lions, she used to work for Ford. So I don't know the lingo. She used to talk to me about stuff. Got confused.
Hey, it's great meeting you.
Thanks. Great meeting you too.
All right, coming up next, Bob.